Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since the very beginning. So thank you, Folgers. It would not be the same without you. For real. Amelia and I love you bunches. I would say more than anybody. So thank you. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for his contribution of his time, his music, and his voice. That was him you heard on the intro, which is fabulous. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found anywhere that amazing music can be found. Also, big thank you Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our banners and logos here at the Outer Realm. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also, big on the horror genre. It's got amazing stuff. Mm-hmm. So I have to say it. Okay, well, two things. First, I have to say Outer Realm has been nominated, of course, third year for People's Choice Award, podcast award, that is. And the category is Best Female Host. So over the coming weeks, and months, you're going to be seeing a lot of promos and things like that on the podcast awards, and we will be putting up the website and letting you know when you can go and vote. So please just heads up for that. We do like to make mention of it, but you're going to see a whole lot of stuff coming up. So can't wait. Anyway, also, before I forget, thank you all for all the amazing birthday wishes. I feel like I've just been, I should have been on this already, but I really haven't been online. Super swamped. Lots going on, but I will be posting online. I wish I could get to all of you. It just makes it really difficult because there was just so many across the different platforms, but I did not want to let another day go by where I did not extend a thank you to you all. It's very humbling, and I appreciate you guys all taking the time out of your busy days to think about little old me. So again, thank you very much. So tonight is kind of another fun night. Yay. We welcome the return of our dear friend and United Public Radio Network owner, Joe Montaldo. We're going to be having an open discussion on UFOs, extraterrestrials, paranormal, pretty much anything that's deemed high strangeness or out of this world. So waiting for all of our regulars to start chiming in, and I see the chat room is starting to fill in. Chris, my eyes deceive me. You're here early. And Wayne, where you been, Mr. On Hiatus?
He said it's nice to be here and not dirty at 9 p.m.
Dolly, hello.
Those late night showers are my favorite, though.
I know, right?
It's nothing like going to bed like freshly showered.
Thank you. Good. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, on Sunday, and blame it on blame it on Bubbles that it was posted on all the pages.
Yeah, now I gotta go friggin' do all that. And I know Julia, big thank you to Phil and Julia, sorry, tongue-tied, been a while, on the Horsefly Chronicles. You can find them 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday evenings, who also put a post up. So I gotta remember to go to all these places.
Write it down.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
I know. It's like, holy crud. But been that much going on. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to bring on our fearless leader, Joe Montaldo. I feel like when breaking out into song.
I was listening to that dirty pornographic thing Amelia was doing. I was like, whoa, what is this? I was like, whoa, man.
You can't say that word on this show. It's a family show.
I was like, damn, I might have to go edit that out, man. I was like, oh. That was
Listen,
rough.
what are you talking about?
Oh,
It wasn't even
that was rough.
on.
Look,
He's
I'm
such
red.
a
It
he's
embarrassed me.
such
Look
a
at my face is
liar.
red.
See, he comes on here just to like push buttons. That's what it is.
Y'all know what I'm
Everybody
talking
knows.
about, don't y'all? Y'all do know what I'm talking. They know what I'm talking about. See,
Yes.
hey Dolly, how you doing,
Whatever.
sweetie?
My
Mhm.
See, they
virgin
know. They know.
ears.
So, how are y'all,
Uh-huh.
ladies? Y'all been busy? It's crazy, I should
Yes,
say.
pretty much.
A
So,
little bit.
well,
If
so
guys, if my voice goes, I'm getting over COVID. So, thanks to wherever I was last week. Oh Lord.
yeah, it's second year in a row.
Yes,
I think maybe you need to be
Just
staying home from now
say
on.
it. Yeah.
Safer.
I may have to. I like to kill my wife and my son. I gave it to both of them.
Oh
Oh,
no.
passing the
Oh,
buck.
that's not good.
It hacks me. I'm sure it hacks him off far more than it does me, but it just anyway. I ain't gonna get into that because I'll get all aggravated. It's anyway, guys. So in case they keep telling you COVID doesn't exist out there, somebody's lying.
They are. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because
Joe's
I don't want to
living
get
proof.
us ripped.
Just saying.
No.
Well, no,
Joe
so
catches
listen.
it every year.
As I'm driving up to get the test, they're going, "Oh, COVID doesn't exist anymore. You don't have to worry about it." Of course, my doctor said it was inconclusive, but that's probably because I was halfway wherever. And but I knew when I knew what it was. I was like, "Come on." Yeah, so people, all I can tell you is beware flying airplanes. I think I'm gonna stay away from planes for a while. I just don't seem to have any good luck flying on
That's
the damn
okay. All the
thing.
pilots are going
But
on strike
wait,
anyways.
in the middle of COVID, I flew on an airplane and didn't get it. I don't know, man. Life is weird. I don't know what it is. And I enjoyed hosting, producing the show earlier today. They're nice peoples.
Yes,
And,
the Latino Psychic Visions.
yes, the Latino Psychic Visions.
Yeah, 5
They're very
Eastern,
nice.
4 Central people.
I told them they just need to take the whole full 2 hours. So they're wasting their time. I said I said you're cutting yourself short. I said, but not bumping up against the bottom of my show. You're cutting yourself out of probably 100,000 listeners.
Yeah, just let them go.
Just a little friendly advice. That's all. That's all.
Yeah. Never a rush. You have that time, that's for sure. So,
An
lots of
hour is
new
not
shows
enough.
on the network. Lots of new shows.
Yeah, lots of new ones. Yeah, y'all should all get out there and check out. There's lots and lots of. And I see they pull a nice, good audience. It's
The Light Gate with Preston Dennett, Dolly Saffron, 9 p.m.
That's right.
Eastern on Monday nights. Just saying.
Yes, they get them a good slot over there, so they're doing well. Everybody's and there's always room for more people. You just got to talk to Michelle because I ain't messing with none of you crazy people anymore.
Wow, that's encouraging.
There's
We want all the
enough.
crazy people. We're a crazy network.
Yes, we do. We want the
People love
eccentric.
us.
Listen, I'm gonna say this as my plight. We want the eccentric people that can follow rules. I know that don't go hand in hand, but still.
I know you're not wrong. we need more of that. So tonight we're having open discussion night on whatever floats everybody's boat. It's gonna be a nice, relaxing evening. Kind of similar to our Q&As, and Joe here is like super versed in all of it, and UFOs, the extraterrestrials, paranormal. If it's out of this world and considered high strangers, we want you to post your comments, your questions, your experiences. So let's
start off with this. Let's start off with this. If you're talking to dead people, if you're talking to your relatives and you think they're dead people, no, they're from another dimension.
Dimensional bleed through.
No, this. Well, I guess it's
again. Bam.
I think it's easier for people to consider them dead. I think it's easier.
Famous last words.
But so this is what I suggest when you're talking to dead people or your dead relatives. I want to say dead people in general, but your dead relatives.
Just remember, I got a
ask them certain
one there.
kind of questions. Ask them certain kind of questions is all I can say. Because when grief reaches a certain point, it's easy to cross the veil because because your mind quits thinking about the everyday normal stuff when you reach a certain level of grief. So it's easy to slide across the veil without realizing it because you're pushing out in so many directions. Sometimes it's with anger, sometimes it's with fear, sometimes it's just pure sadness, sometimes it's a whole realm of stuff in between. But you're pushing it out there, and you're pushing it through the cracks, and it's going on the other side. And that way, sometimes you're just sharing with someone else. But fortunately for them, their parent's still alive. You just lost one, so that's what you're looking at. But for them, they're still there. I know it gets
You
complicated.
know what? Though it does get complicated because you don't know what you're talking.
It's a hard subject to talk about too.
Sometimes you think it's your relatives, but it's not,
Sometimes it's
because
not.
we have learned from experience, and the experts out there, and I know it's a crappy word to use, but anyways, the more knowledgeable than I know that it's very easy for something negative to mimic a family member. So you really have to be careful.
That's
And
true, you do.
people are the most vulnerable when they've lost a loved one. And it's hard, even when my dad passed and I saw things, I still had to second guess. And Michelle always said, "Are you sure?" And she's asking me, who does this all the time. And yeah, you have to really be careful because you're so vulnerable.
I'm going through it now.
Yeah.
Michelle is saying we can't hug her. We should give her a big hug, but no.
No,
She might hurt one
it's
of us.
just, it's funny because, my mother will leave little signs, and then it's always a bathroom light. And I'm like, it's about to get very awkward right now, Mother. I really think you need to knock this off right now. And all of a sudden the light stops. I'm like, thank you.
That's right. We can share in other rooms in the house. Thank you very much.
Exactly. This is not the one I want to be sharing.
Yeah.
So and then everything stops. So it's really good. But we have a question for Joe already. Yes, here we go. Amelia.
Oh, hi, Sanjay. Joe, I've got a question. What year was it when you saw those shadow people that brought fear in you? Because
good.
If it was, when the Jewish community was in flux, it might have been a golem, maybe.
I'll leave it up for you.
Well, I'll tell you what. I can't remember exactly. It's been a long, long time now because I'm getting ancient, unfortunately. Let me think about it for a second. I like
I don't know about you. I'm
ancient. I like it. Look, it looks good. Anyway, enough about all that. I'm trying to think. So Katrina, it's been 17 years. It's got to be 20, 19, somewhere 19 years ago. We were just, there's a place in Honey Island Swamp, ladies and gentlemen, where we go to do some sightings sometime. And a lot of people have had experiences back there, have all sorts of experiences, both alien experiences, UFO experiences, and weird shit experiences. The only way because sometimes it's like a friendly entity, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's something else. Sometimes you'll be standing out there and you'll look down this trail and you'll see what appears to be a bunch of Indians dancing around, having a little fire, doing a little dance. They're just there, and then they're gone, but you can still hear them even after they're gone. So anyway, Linda and I were back there. This is about 15 miles back and deep in Honey Island Swamp. And we're in an all-black car. We bought this car because it's all black. I mean, this thing, nobody could see this car. When the lights were off in this car, you couldn't see this car. I loved it. It was a Nissan Stanza is what it was. It was great. They had black bumpers, everything. Tires were black.
Okay, they didn't sponsor the show. Keep going.
Hey, you got to tell them what kind of car it is so they get the image. Also,
it's a black sedan. Let's move on.
And you got to remember it had a moonroof in it. That's important because it had a moonroof in it. It becomes important later on. So we're sitting back there talking, just chit-chatting about different things we had seen, different experiences we had. And I don't know what I did. I leaned forward and I stepped forward is what I did with my foot, and the taillights came on. And when it did, it was like just this weird black. And I was like, Linda, because it kind of looked like it moved. I'm like, and the other black was just, so this was different because it was pitch black back there any way you looked. This was blacker than the black or normal of the night of the swamp. So you got to remember, guys, we're in the middle of a swamp. So I was like, so I let off the light, and Linda's looking, I think she's looking through the rearview mirror first, and I stepped, and it moved. It definitely had moved forward. And looked like it was pretty big, bigger than the car even. And I was like, no, I'm seeing things. So I just tapped it, the brake, and it was like right on the tail. That was it. It was just sheer reaction at that moment. I hit that car and put it in drive, actually put it in first. We were gone. Now you got to remember, this is all gravel, dirt, mud roads in the middle of the swamp. There's literally alligators on both sides of you, big hogs running through. So the place is just without any alien NASA, anything. The place is just seriously dangerous on its own. I'm doing 90, 100, 105, 110, just cruising. And usually Lynn would be cussing me by this time. She wasn't even saying a word, which that even scared me even more. So
that's her way of saying hit the pedal.
That's pretty much what it was.
It's not
so
fast
we're coming up on one of the roads that runs back towards interstate. So I'm cruising. I know if I went over this too fast, I'd just end up landing on the other side and total my car. So I just cut the wheel and slid up it. And we kind of come up in the air and we just landed in the middle of the blacktop road. I reached out of the room with my gun and pow, pow. And whatever it was, the flashes made it stop. We thought it was a gun, but it wasn't. It was the flash of the barrel that made it stop. And it just stayed there. And I could see it through because of the lights. All my lights were on in my car. I could see it. And it was just sitting there. And I was like, what the? And so I let off the brake to roll forward. And I did it, rushed up the side, this thing we were on. And I said, screw this. And I punched it. And we're sailing now. Now, this is a blacktop road at least. Now, it's a straight road full of holes, bumps. And there's a bridge like every quarter mile over a deep part of a swamp. And I'm literally hitting these bridges. We're crossing the bridge. The tires ain't even touching the freaking bridge when we're crossing them. And we're sailing. I know at the end is a cattle guard. And I'm thinking, Joe, you got to slow down for the cattle guard. You'll rip the front tires off the car. You got to slow down. So I just kind of stepped on it. And when I did, it rushed up behind the car. But when it gets to a certain point of the light, it stops. So I just kept my brake lights on and kind of rolled across it. And I just stopped and looked at it. It sat there and looked. It was shaped. It had a shape to it. This had to be, let me think. This would have been like 2002. You know what? I got it written down. I can find out for you for sure. I shouldn't. He just wanted to know the date. I gave him the whole story, but it was.
And what car, just in case she wants to buy one.
It was the car. You could tell how well the car handled, buddy, because the car was flying. At one point, that car was doing easy 130. So, I mean, it was flying along. It was staying. God,
you can find Joe at the dealership on Monday.
You know, I just put new tires in his car. It's just so lucky. Honestly, how we didn't get killed is beyond me. Whatever it was, it instilled such a range of fear. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, I've had a lot of crazy shit happen to me over the years, and I've been in some pretty dangerous spots where
could have been ET,
would have been blacking out or something. This was like someone filled an injection full of fear and just shot it into your freaking veins. There was no way to stop it. You couldn't control it. So usually I'll get to a point of fear and I'm like, no, this ain't going to work for me. I got to stop it. Even though I know I'm going to freaking die, I'm still going to stop the fear. This was not stoppable. You know, we don't, and a lot of people asked if it was alien. And once we made this public, we went on the air like 2 days later and made it public. And then I went on Coast to Coast and I made it public. And we started getting calls, but there were very few. There was one or two more not too far from where we were at near a facility. There was another one, two of them out in Arizona somewhere. But there was only maybe a dozen and a half altogether. But they were in places, well, probably where you shouldn't have needed to be. You got to remember, we were in Honey Island Swamp, but we were technically in NASA. This is NASA land. All this land belonged to NASA where we were. We were inside the buffer zone. And we were literally from where we were in the back of the swamp. You could actually hear the generators like humming in the plants. You could feel the vibration in the ground. So we couldn't have been more than maybe a mile from the big part of NASA, but it was all through the swamp. So NASA didn't worry, but nobody's walking through there, especially at night. The alligators get you freaking moccasins would. So there was just no going through there. They knew that, but we'd go out there all the time. And every now and then somebody come at you. But it was weird. For the first 15, 16 years, we never seen anyone else back there but us. No one ever went back there. And then stupid me one day got on the radio and started talking about it, and all of a sudden, people started showing up. And then next thing you know, cops started showing up. And then they were like, what are y'all doing back here? It's, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, animal watch. You go, I don't believe you. I said, look, I just watched a doe drop just about 10 minutes ago. He's like, wow. That's a true story, too. And I'll tell you the one that got us, he stopped me and Linda one night and says, I don't know what y'all doing back. He's about to get us all kind of trouble, all kind of hell. And I turned the phone around and go, I just want you to know you're being broadcasted live on Facebook right now to about 5,000 people. And I said, so beware of what you say next. He got pissed, threw the thing on the dashboard and said, get the hell out of here.
Well, they don't want you too close, to the bases. You guys are always in there.
I don't.
And you wonder why you disappear with missing time.
They don't want you advertising where it is either.
Well, that's part of the problem right there.
Yeah.
So, but it was too late.
You locations. I mean,
yeah, we'd already told him, and then I know, and I would have figured something like because Eglin. Anyway, we used to go to not Pensacola, to Navarre a lot, and Destin. Well, there's a big base in between Pensacola, in between Navarre and Destin. It's called Eglin Air Force Base. Big, huge, freaking monster base. Something like 8,890 acres of base with something like 30 airfields on it. And we've seen some crazy stuff. We got some good video. Matter of fact, on the old Alien Enigma site, there's some pictures we took of one of the videos we took out there. It was just we seen some crazy stuff. So I would have figured something like that would have happened there, but it didn't. It happened at Honey. What happened there was when they burnt Linda's arms all up. We got pictures of those. That was weird. So there's three of us sitting outside the covers.
Everybody wonders why I'm so scared.
And then I had my son, which was at the time like I think 2.5, 3. Him and his freaking my bug-eyed friends are coming down. I'm like, what? Kid used to scare me sometimes. Anyway,
kids see everything.
So I mean, we're all three sitting there, and first this little rain cloud thing came over, and then there was no doubt what this was. This was a big ship. It came over low. It had to be below 200 feet. It just came over, and I'm thinking, okay, we're screwed, blue and tattooed. It just because I didn't even know what it was. Was it an alien? Was it people? Not even sure what this thing was. So it goes away. We leave. I'd tell you the rest of the story, but it's too involved. So it goes away. We go back to the hotel. Next morning, Linda gets up and her arms from here to here were diamond patterned all up and down. Like if y'all ever see that diamond grate they use, that steel grate, it looked like somebody heated it and then wrapped it around her arm and made an indention all the way around. She went to see the doctor. It wasn't burns. Nobody knew what the hell it was.
That's scary.
And then it went away. But I mean, look, see, they're coming to get Emily.
No, my dog moved the plug.
Sure, let's go with the dog.
He did. He moved. He
Dolly
walked right
says
through
shadow entities are second dimensional entities.
Actually,
They are capable of real anger near a base. Maybe it was already mad.
Actually, I think this black thing was made. I don't think. How can I say this? So usually when I experience something weird, scary, something out of sort, a demon, something black, something like that, you sense it as something. This didn't sense as anything. It didn't seem anything earthly, alien, or anything in between. It really felt like it was almost like it was being beamed into your head, and there was just no way to get it out. It really is what it felt like. We were on a military base. We've heard about weird hologram things before on different bases. I mean, we've actually filmed some weird shit, some Native American Indian heads and eagles and shit up in Arizona and New Mexico, where they were doing test projects. But this was, if this is a severe weapon. If I had to categorize it as anything, I had to categorize it as a weapon, because I couldn't even reverse the fear back. It just wouldn't. The matter of fact, the more you try to push against it, the more intense it got. So I'm just thinking that's what it was. But Dolly, there's no way of really knowing because nobody's going to tell us the truth. It was on a NASA base where we have seen all sorts of things. So
was this experience before the experience you were just telling us about with Linda and your son and yourself?
Actually, it was after because the experience.
So they would already know you then.
Yeah, well, yeah. So the experience I was talking about then involved there was a landing on Navarre Beach, and we were every now and then we get lucky, and we were pervy to things like being in the right spot at the right time, but not being the ones being taken. So every now and then Linda get this kick. I don't believe this. You're not going to use the language she uses, but and so she's going on about this that night, and this thing sat down, opened its door, and we literally watched 4 hotels of people walk out and get in this damn thing. And we were no more. We actually got stupid and got up and walked close. We couldn't be more than 75 feet. And they ignored us the whole time. It's like the night we had all those witnesses that with the surfing aliens, we like to call them. I should have never called them that, but it's too late now. So every now and then it's just you're pervy to be a witness instead of a victim. And I don't consider it a victim anyway, but it's every now and then you get to be a witness of something else that something that would happen to you or someone else. You actually got to be the witness. They do that for keepers sometimes because I guess it helps them to really realize why they're doing it, what they're doing it for. I guess is a better way of saying it, but it's freaky.
Can I ask you a question? Because this is something that I've only just noticed. When I search images of aliens, I'm seeing more than one typical shaped eye. Is this distinguishing races, or is this just something the way people describe them and they're
Well,
being portrayed out there?
well, it's like the grays. Most people get screwed up with the grays. So there's a gray, he's about this tall. There's a gray who's about this tall. There's a gray that's 7. The queen herself's probably over 9 foot tall. The consorts are at least 7. And then you've got from 3 foot up. And then you've got what we would call, what do you call them? Cyborgs. They're half gray, half, they're controlled by the other grays, but they're half machine. But but you do have, it's like a height scale. You have literally about 3 different colors of grays, and none of them are actually gray. Blue's a better color.
Yeah.
But they do have a brown and a white, and then they do come in different sizes. And I hate to say it, a lot of their architecture is based on height. I guess the higher you are, the more intelligent you are. I don't, it's hard to explain, but they definitely do seem to have some kind of thing like that. And I hate to say that it's a good biological. That's a good one. I hate to say that sometimes the grays are just. I think the smaller ones are kind of dispensable. Even though they can have the conscious upload into a new body, I don't think. I really think from the 6 foot up or the 5 foot up ones are the ones that probably like our middle class and elite going up. I don't know what you'd call the little 3 foot guys. I know they catch a lot of hell. I know that for sure. And I notice they always get sent in first. So.
Taking it for the team.
You often hear the little ones make a lot of mistakes.
Throw the little one
like
in bubbles.
Yeah, they make mistakes. But I just noticed, like, some have the eyes, like the one behind Joe. The point.
Really,
some have like rounded eyes, but I like the way Dolly said ethnicities, because that I can understand.
But it's not even so much that is. Most of the grays, when you see with the big eyes, are just wearing a patch. It's just they're not used to the sunlight on our planet.
Have a harder time. 3-finger grays have a harder time here. Thank you, Dolly.
Because they're not from here, and then our light and our atmosphere is different than theirs, and it refracts differently. So, but those things they wear over their eyes are not just to protect them. Them shit and things can see all over. But we've got pictures with them out. You can still see the outline from wearing it so much, but they have. I don't want to say regular eyes. Their eyes are actually bigger than ours. It's hard to explain, but they don't look all that much different than ours, but they're bigger, and the colors are slightly. Their color scheme, I don't know if it's because of their atmosphere when you're on their ships, but like the blues there are like almost tasteable, edible blue. I mean, they're just so intense. It's the only thing that comes close on Earth. It would be a cobalt electric blue, and that's just not even doing it justice.
That is incredible. There's a child prodigy out there who can actually, when he hears a note in music, I wonder if there's a little alien here. When he hears a note, say an F sharp, he'll see it as it'll come in as the sound, but it also comes in as a color.
That's brilliance, is what that is.
I wonder about any interference there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this kid, I saw him on one of those, of course, TikTok videos when I'm trying to sleep, but I was just, his dad's filming him, and I was just in shock. I've never, like when you're a medium, some of us can feel the vibration of a color. That's why it's easy for us to play cards. And then that's just a way. But I have never heard of, it's Dolly does it. See, I have never heard of a child picking up a C- and it comes across red. Like, I feel red. He doesn't even say, because his father said, "Do you see it?"
But you see, but do you know if the great ones did? Because they might not have said nothing. Because
that's what I said in the comment sections. I wonder if Mozart and Beethoven and Chopin,
I would imagine
all of them,
because they were all child prodigies. So I bet you they did. It's just, well, we know a lot of this stuff runs in family lines, and somebody told me one time, just because your parents are genius don't mean you're. That's true. I said, because Einstein's parents were idiots, but he was brilliant.
You know what, Joe? I think that if we weren't so distracted, we have a lot of brilliance in this world. And you're referring to a time where they didn't do anything but art and music.
And calling them idiots is actually unfair. They were just everyday people. They had careers, they had jobs. They just were people. Just Einstein was
exceptional.
He was the guy who stood out. And it's weird, these postal workers that either go around killing people or saving the universe. It's a little strange.
Yeah.
I guess maybe postal work drives you one way or another just to get the hell out of there.
Well, look at Edgar Casey. He was a farmer.
Some things. It's
And he ends up being one of the best mediums and prophets of our time.
What did Crowley do before he did?
Crowley.
I wonder what he did before.
A lot of sex.
Hi, Mark. Joe.
He did. That was his whole basis.
He was into all that S&M stuff.
No, it wasn't S&M.
It was just part of the.
I guess it is S&M. Sorry.
It's part of his occult practices, you know.
Yes, well, sex magic is powerful. That's why.
It's true. It's true.
That's why Wiccans never stood a chance.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, Tesla also. Even though
we're not going to go there, let's leave that alone. No, I love my Wiccan friends. When anybody starts writing in, I love all y'all know that. I got lots of Wiccan friends out there. So
I know.
Lots of y'all out there. So don't hate on me. It was Michelle's fault.
It's always my fault. When you mentioned Tesla, Joe and I did a segment, probably one or two, in the Gray Zone Uncensored. And if you go into the FBI Vault, which is their website, there was an article in there, and you can still find it, where it says that Tesla was Venusian, that he was allegedly brought down to this humble family of farmers from two beings that claimed to be from Venus. Now, Venus, by the way, was said to be a technology planet, like very, very versed in anything that was totally Tesla. So it's interesting, but when you see it in the FBI vaults, it's kind of like, I wonder. And I mean, these Venusian people came in periodically, and they would come and check on him. And so I don't know, Joe. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that? I mean, it's in the FBI vaults, but it's also online. I don't worry about anything that's online.
I don't know. I used to have a lot more credibility in the FBI. I've kind of lost faith in them in recent times. Right. I don't know what to think about them. You know, there's Phoenix. I know just a plain old country girl. She hosts with me on Friday night. Just come meet her. She's from Kentucky. She's just a good old country girl from Kentucky.
Yeah, not everybody from Kentucky is simple.
Well, I didn't mean it like that anyway. No, I don't consider nobody from Kentucky
I saw
simple.
Chris's simple country boy. That goes a whole different way.
I'm just saying, Chris. I'm just saying, she's a good old country girl. Anyway, I love, Tesla's always been a favorite thing of mine because I think they just screwed Tesla every way they could. But
oh my God, everybody did though. He was just good-hearted and just wanted to learn and share. He wanted to do good, and he was met with one person after the other, not just the government or the FBI, but other partners who took his inventions. So he says our planets have moved positions multiple times. 300 billion years ago, there was a big shuffle.
Well, there's definitely evidence of out-of-place artifacts and ancient civilizations that go back that easily. I mean, we've done shows on that also. Look at that mine that we did that went back between 250 and 300 million years ago. Uranium, like, come on. It's there.
That's got to be guarded, right?
Yeah, planets move around all over the place. I mean,
no, the uranium's not guarded.
Yeah, well, it was uranium, wasn't it, Joe? That mine that we did.
Micronovas, okay.
There's a lot of stuff. You'd be surprised.
It's mined out.
Well, but there's weird places you go. Like, okay, we'll use the Air Force Base for perfect examples. There's a big, huge, massive Air Force Base, all kind of top. This is where they test all the non-nuclear weapons in the United States. This is what they do there. Yet, we were able to walk on the base at night by simply walking into the Gulf and walking around the fence and walking down the beach. And we were on the base. And don't get me wrong, there's security checkpoints at both sides. But yet, there we were. So the question really comes to be is, were we being allowed to walk on that beach? Were we being pointed in a particular direction? Because I still remember with Linda, she's cruising along, Miss, I'm scared of the dark and the water, and I'm walking in the Gulf of Mexico in the dark. I'm thinking, okay, we're definitely going to die tonight. We get on the beach. I'm like, okay, we might make it. Then we see this building, and she said, let's go see what them stairs go to. I'm like, what? I said, what stairs? I couldn't even see the stairs. She's talking stairs. So I'm thinking stairs going up. No, it's stairs going down. We get there. You look down. You can't even see the bottom. It is the stairs, though. It's like regular stairs you'd see on any stairwell, concrete stairs going down. Literally, I mean, I figure you can see a mile with light. This is going on down. So I look over and somebody's going down the stairs. I still have no idea how we got back to the hotel.
Missing time. Really interesting.
Shit, I don't even know how much was missing. I have no idea what happened, what went on. All the equipment we had with us had blank. Well, the cameras all had there was a bunch of pictures taken too, but they were all like white blobs.
I've heard that before.
You know, it's all it was. I mean, I don't know. The regular camera we clicked off 700 or 800 photos. The phones 500 or 600 photos between us. So we had the camera and two. Oh, we even had the video camera with us too, and it had, I think, it ran out of battery, so it had a 12-hour battery on it. You know, big fat batteries. I bought a big battery for. Now it probably didn't have. It probably only had about 8 hours of time on it at the time, but still, nothing was on anything. And I don't remember anything other than looking down the stairs. That's all I remember.
You need a hot coffee, Joe. You need a Folgers.
Well, clearly, according to Dolly, dedicated satellites that watch the bases.
This is Folgers right here, gourmet coffee, actually.
He's still with the Christmas mug. I love that.
I know. Still.
You know, I got it. You know why I got it? Because all the other ones are
Damn
smaller,
gnome.
and I wanted the big cup of coffee tonight.
I know but that was the first thing I noticed the first time we were on screen with you is that mug, and I'll never forget that day.
That's my baby. She comes with me everywhere. It's actually I'm supposed to be getting some red ones. So I don't know where they are, but I got a letter there. They said I was going to get some red ones. 4 or 6 red ones.
I'll make you one.
It's,
Big bowl.
no, you know, they're Folgers cups. They're just the red and white cups. That's all they are. They're the big ones, though. They're not the little ones.
Right
They're
there.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
That's right. That's my babies right there. Them cups are good cups, man. I like big cups. When I drink coffee, I want cup. Because sometimes I want to drink some coffee. Sometimes I want to sip some coffee. It just depends on what it is.
I
Oh,
like
by the way,
big bowls for ice cream, those cups.
yeah, Folgers are good coffee.
One serving. I only had one serving. It's big.
Okay. So, somebody asked me that day, you still drink cappuccino? I said, sometimes. That's just something from somewhere I want to get one from or get something good. I like a double shot espresso with a lot of chocolate in it.
Damn.
That's the American side coming out to attack your Italian. That's all I'm saying.
The two fighting each other off.
Yeah, the Italian's like, no. And
in
the
all
American
fairness,
side's going,
guys.
chocolate.
In all fairness, I grew up on coffee and chicory at Morning Call. So Morning Call would give you a cup.
Coffee with chicory.
They would give you a cup this big, and they would fill a coffee up to here, and then they'd pour steam cream for the rest. Yeah. And it was really good. And you grew up on that shit, and your eyes were always like this big. Somebody said, "Let me get some espresso. It's gonna be more potent." I'm like, "Really?" So I drank it, thinking, "I'm sorry, guys. Chicory. Once you get too much chicory, espresso
it's
just
hard to go back when you drink chicory. But
do
aliens drink chicory?
I hope not. I know what it does to me. Jesus. Well, I don't get to get it that much because on the coast here they don't really have it that much. You got to have to go specially looking for it. New Orleans, it's everywhere. It's just part of any good fine restaurant you eat. It's actually going to be serving you coffee and
it's few and far in between here. I think there's only one chain, and I'm not mentioning it because they don't sponsor us.
And being that you're in French heaven up there, man, y'all should have more than that.
But Canadian French is not French.
I'm
going to get emails. Okay, Joe, back to the aliens. Do they drink
No, you know what? The Acadian French and Acadian French do see the same aliens, by the way.
Really?
Yes. I found that out by complete accident. So somebody wrote me from Acadia. It was right then we were talking. And they said, it's amazing how close the two languages are together. I said, no, because the Cajun French probably came from Canada. That's probably where they came from. And So you
See, I
got
was
funny.
right. Thank you, Dolly.
So
Grays like
so,
coffee.
so Grays are just weird to start off with. But I mean, it's weird that they do share the same alien. It seems to be the same group being contacted. It's almost like the English thing. They have control groups, and the Cajuns and Acadians are control groups, just like the English are control groups. So they use them. They have a particular type of alien that visits, and they have a particular type of experiences versus the other experiences. Just like most of the English Isle still has what we call alien abduction 101. It's horrible. It's unpleasant, and it's just what it is. But not everybody experiences that anymore.
But
And
are you sure it's aliens
oh, yeah, I'm positive it's
making it
aliens, but
unpleasant?
no, it's the aliens make it unpleasant. It's just it's their control group. It's their static group is what
Hmm.
it is. They use it against. So by doing them, world. Let me explain this real quick. By doing it to them, they don't have to do it to everybody else. They can
Hmm.
use them as a control group. So like one in every 500,000 now, they can do the original experiments that started puberty and go up through into their early 30s. It used to be they did it to everybody, but they don't have to now. So they can take one out of each family line every so often through the family line as it's growing and learn what they need to learn so they don't have to keep constantly leaving that memory in every grandchild and great grandchild and great 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 grandmother and stuff like that. The memory can start to smooth out and make contact a much more, I don't want to say pleasant thing, but a more experience than a non-experience. It's because even when they make it easy, it still scares the out of a lot of people. Not everybody's gonna be like Dolly and I and walking. Hey, Ellie, what you doing? Hey, what's some coffee? Let's sit down and chat for a while. A lot of people are just not gonna be like that. Unfortunately, they're gonna be like ah! and running for hell. And so you can't
I
blame
don't
them.
want to know.
You can't blame them. It's an alien. Yeah, they
It's
collect DNA. They collect all kind of stuff.
it's
Yeah,
scary.
and they make hybrids out of us. Yeah.
Okay, if you're gonna answer questions, you have to read them out because nobody knows what you're talking about
I'm just
except
looking
the
at
person
the.
you're
Apparently,
answering.
this is like some golden rule too that our
Mm.
big boss says, "Gotta do this." So here
Yeah.
we go.
Do aliens collect our DNA for hybrid work? Chris is asking.
Yeah, but hybrids of us, not of them. You know, it used to drive me crazy when people used to tell me, "Oh, the aliens came here to fix their DNA." I'm like, no. Why would they pollute their DNA with us? I mean, the Greys are pretty perfect as far as aliens go, and big, huge brains, all kind of psychic abilities, able to
Okay.
transform, able to upload their consciousness into new beings or new bodies. I mean, it's pretty good, easy going. I don't think, and it's not. And the best part about this, when we talk about this, they're not uploading into clones. They're uploading into husk bodies. These are bodies that are designed and built through multiple DNA, so there's no degradation of cloning going on here. So they can just keep doing it, and it's like they're uploading themselves to who would have been their great grandchild or something's body. It's weird, but it works for them, and they still do well. Having children is not the right way of saying it. So they don't have children the conventional way. It would be a miss. It would be not. It would be wrong to say they don't have children. It's just not often and not very many. They don't really need them. They have a huge population already.
Okay, I have something for you. I want. Oh, let me read Song's question first. Could the small grays be hybrids of the grays?
Some could, some are not.
A great question.
So some of them are definitely a hybrid form, but a lot of them are just the Greys. The Greys are just the way they're designed. I don't know how it actually happened for them, and I don't know if we'll ever get them to actually sit down and tell us. But they're not. They're just not hybrids in the way we think of hybrids. It's they can be changed. They can change the bodies into specific things if they have to be in specific areas, so they can make the body itself more specific to the climate it's going to be in. But it's not a hybrid. It's still a gray. It's still their DNA, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not a changed DNA. It's
Okay.
like the reptilians. The reptilians do the same thing. They have some reptilians have wings, some have horns, some have lungs. I mean, some have lungs, some have gills, some have both. It's just from different places they were living. They all can commute into the same thing. It's just they have
Okay.
colonies. Is what the problem is.
Here's something. I was watching a small clip, and I don't believe it was taken out of context because it was long enough to see that they had everything that Neil deGrasse said in an interview. That, and I want to ask your thoughts on this, both of you. your thoughts on this. Neil deGrasse said in an interview that people who live on this plane, that come to Earth, souls is what he said, are fortunate to live this existence, and you should make the most of it, because the people up there is how he said it. I could be misquoting, so don't hold me to it, but the gist of it is that the people up there, the souls is what he said, the souls up there, not everyone can be born. What are your thoughts on that? I never knew him to, it almost sounds religious, doesn't it?
It does. And you know who the first person to introduce Neil deGrasse Tyson to aliens was?
You?
Yes. Linda got him in as a guest.
I wonder how old that clip is. I should look that up.
Yes, because I didn't. One day Linda calls me up. She said, "Oh, look, I got these 3 guests for you." I'm like, "Who?" Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, and Paul Levesque, 3 of the most well-known physicists to ever live. I was like, and the creator and the curator of the Museum of New York. I was like, really? I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. And they were great guests, all 3 of them. But Neil came on, knowing that the show was called UFO Undercover. He came on the show. We talked about aliens. And it was really fun to talk about it with Michio Kaku, too, because I didn't think any of these guys would do it. But they did. They came on and they talked aliens. And I noticed after that, I caught a couple of Neil's stuff. After that, I noticed that he brought up aliens quite a few times. And I had never heard him bring them up before. It's, I've listened to his stuff before, so.
Oh, this is the first time I've ever heard him say something like the 2 babies are on. Chucky babies. Oh my gosh.
Lola and Fiona.
Are y'all happy to be on television now? Look,
There we go.
We want their 15 minutes.
We're on Roku, girls.
That's right. Break up a good conversation. So people, yes, these are my night terrors. Yes, they're demons. They're little alien watches, is what they are, man. Man, they even hear alien in the house. They're like, really? You and then you hear them run down the hall, and then they're ground snare, and then they just come back like, oh, hey, Dad, how you doing? Like, nothing down the hallway? Oh, no, nothing down the hallway. Did they tear back off again?
Yeah.
Song Day said, Amelia, it might have been his 2009 interview. Thank you, because I've never heard him speak that way. So I was really shocked when I caught that clip. Mm-hmm. I was really, really surprised.
It's over the years, him and a few other people I've talked to over the years about aliens. I've noticed that they've gone off and then they'll meet somebody else and they'll talk to them about it. And then they start learning that, hey, wait, these are insane. Because that's one of the first things he told me. He said, first off, both of them were quite impressed on my level of knowledge about physics. And which I was myself. I don't know what actually was coming from that night. I was pulling some big ones out the air. And, but I do have a bachelor's in science too. So, but we talked science, and Michio was the first one who told me. He said, "I've never really been interviewed by a host before that talks science." Actually knows what I'm talking about. So I said, we're boring the hell out of the audience. Why don't we switch over to stepping stone theories? Yeah, and him and I.
Oh my God, I thought he was going to say Steppenwolf.
No.
Stepping stone. Okay.
I imagine Michio is a cool guy though, but. It's we got into stepping stones theory, probably bored the audience right off the shelves. But the thing of it is he had never really got into it like that before. And he actually said it in the middle of the show or towards the end of the show. He goes, "Well, this is most interesting." He said, "And I never quite thought about us getting into space this way." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Dude, you're like the 3rd most brilliant person on the planet. Give me a break." And then when I was talking with Neil deGrasse Tyson about it, he was kind of the same way. He was kind of like, "Well, they weren't expecting the argument I gave is what it was. They were expecting some crazy UFO guys what was happening. And they didn't get that. And they were both, and so was Paul Levesque. He was, when he came on with the cosmic pulse theory, he's like, you want to actually understand what I'm talking about? I said, yeah, it's not really all that complicated. And it wasn't really all that complicated. I mean, the layman could have picked it up pretty easy, but it's, these guys are just not expecting that. And then I introduced him to some other ufologists. I said, these are people you need to talk to. I said, they're not going to talk a bunch of bullshit, which is they're just going to talk space science with you. And then I think they took an interest in it after that. It's sometimes you get lucky and get the right person that, changes the way you're moving. I wish they'd have sent me some cash. That'd have made me real happy. I would have sent them Fiona.
Curiosity is that we're getting into, this group of people. I like to touch on Robert Bigelow.
Uncle Bigelow.
Robert Bigelow, because aside from the Skinwalker Ranching, because I think he took a big interest
Bachelor,
for decades.
Oh, it's been so long out there. It feels like it's,
and worked in unison with NASA. And
do you know it's the guy who transferred it between the military and them, right? You do know that.
well, yeah, but I want to know because he very abruptly stopped his research, and they still believe that there's still something under there.
Well,
so what I want to know what your thoughts on there.
So whatever out there was not interested in me. That's all I can tell you. 4 weeks, nothing. It was just, it's like skies are beautiful. They got a lot of radiation out there. Unfortunately, you shouldn't stay out there for long periods of time. It's contaminated. And the funny part was, so when the Navy used to have the Fallon Reserve wasn't too far from there. It was in Fallon, Nevada, but they used to have the Fallon Reserve. So that was a flyover spot for them. And there was an emergency landing strip, probably 8 or 9 miles upwind from there, or 10 miles maybe upwind from there. It was so the military owned all of that, all of it, not just the Walker Ranch, but they owned all of that. And then,
really,
yeah, that was all belonged to the military.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, so that's where Bigelow got it from, was from the U.S. military. So here's the U.S. military, got scientists all over, crazy people looking for everything they can, radiation all over the place, and they go, okay, well, we're just going to sell it to Bigelow.
That doesn't make sense.
Not even a little, especially if there's something there.
He's connected to them, though, right? So of course.
I know, but still, it doesn't make sense that they would release it to anyone if it was of value or
But it gets worse than that, because Bigelow sells it to the current idiot that's got it right now.
Yeah, I know. But do you wonder if that was all in motion and part of the plan?
That's a good point right there, Dolly. They do own pretty much all of Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico.
Yeah.
They're pretty much all government. I'm not kidding you. Like, you driving across New Mexico, when you leave Roswell until you get to almost to the other side, it's pretty much all government reserves.
They have to do that to protect what's there, right?
Yeah, well, there's also White Sands missile ranges right there, too. But they got the Carlsbad Caverns out there. If you want to go look at the Crystal Caverns, they got those down there. But other than that, it's just a big, wide open desert all over the place. It's a good place to hide stuff.
Well, I mean, he's still connected to them, so it makes you wonder.
Well, oh, man, I can't tell you all this because I'll get in trouble. But it's all I can say is one of the reasons they like him is he's very applicable. He's that's not the right word. He can. So sometimes when people know things or they do things, they backwipe them.
Yes.
Okay. So in Bigelow's case, I know for a fact it's happened on at least 3 occasions. Okay. I can't say when because that'd give me real trouble, but I know for a fact that on at least 3 occasions.
Hypothetically, it's just a show. So.
He just, unfortunately, he's got bad friends is all I can say. They can't protect him all the time. So, and there's things I can't say here because if he finds out, it might spawn a memory and then that cause other problems. It's so unfortunately for him, he's well connected in a lot of places, and sometimes he's privy to see things, and then somebody finds out that he saw something, and somebody says no, he can't see that. So that whole thing leading up to that, from the start to the finish, is all white. And anyone involved with it or anything along with it could be employees, friends, relationships, all of it is white. They keep a big track of it because, he's got money and he used to have lots of contracts. But his affiliation with MUFON hurt him, which, unfortunately for him, everybody told him don't get involved with them because they're not going to do what you think they're going to do. But they didn't. They just wasted his money, and he pulled his contract with them. And unfortunately for them, the director wasn't. The director was doing his job. James Carrion was doing his job, but everybody else was. And this is what I was told by several directors at MUFON, is that they were buying expensive equipment, staying in expensive hotels, and flying first class everywhere. It's not what Bigelow meant. He meant, hey, look, fly out, get a decent coach seat or something, but fly your butt out there, get your equipment together, and go. His idea wasn't to give you big paid for vacations. And I remember James gave him, because he gave James extra money to watch over. And James gave his money back. He came on, actually was on UFO Undercover when we talked about it, giving it back. So just sometimes you get into stuff that, doesn't work right and you get wiped. And that nothing at MUFON got him wiped because there was nothing going on there, but other things he's done has.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Chris's.
I'm sorry, Chris. It just slips out of my mouth sometimes.
Oh, that's funny. I have to read it out loud.
You get stuck in bed.
Read it.
Chris says, I had to Google the word purvey as Joe has used it several times. Now I know what it means. Cool use of the word. Chris, you can pervy, sorry. I'm French, purvey.
Pervy. Just dress that word up a little bit, Amelia.
I always put an A on everything.
It works. It's just
gosh.
Unfortunately, it comes out of there sometimes. Some words get stuck in my brains too, so you can't.
See, I don't even catch it because you do use it often, so it doesn't. I don't even
because
catch
it's a word that fits in a lot of things we talk about, and it is true. It is because of that particular position. But I don't. Our government is so disjointed from what goes on out in certain places, and they lack so much control over a lot of things that go on. I mean, come on, the president doesn't have clearance to go to Area 51.
Sorry, I'm not French song. Sorry, Joe. Because I said I'm French. It was being sarcastic. Sorry, Joe. I'm Italian.
But I mean, think about it. The president does not. If Joe Biden wanted to go to Area 51 right now, he couldn't. He doesn't have the security clearance to go.
So just because you're the president of the United States doesn't mean you get to go and be made privy.
That's right. Privy knowledge at that. We use the word twice.
Or privy knowledge. Either way.
God made me set my killer on you now. You see the alien? That is an alien.
That's an ankle biter.
That is what a gray looks like when it's being your dog. So be careful.
That's an ankle biter.
That's exactly. She says, I'm relaxed right now. Don't be making me move.
She said, you see these eyes?
Those little eyes. She just wants to sleep. She was quit swinging me around, man. Just let me sit still.
Yeah, she get her butt put down because her sister. I won't pick up her sister, so she got to get down with her sister.
I'm glad I said it right. That's the way she was reading it, and she's French, so.
Right.
Right. Eisenhower did what? Oh, yeah. Eisenhower met the aliens in Seattle, Washington on the tarmac.
What other presidents have admitted? I know Reagan slipped.
Truman did too, I think.
Truman did.
So
Reagan slipped, right?
So the deal was on Reagan. The only thing I know for sure Reagan is I remember it was 83, 80, I don't know, 80 something. It was just right after he took president. And I hadn't been in the Navy like hardly any time at all. There was what appeared, and I'm using these words, appeared to be a saucer type ship that landed on the end of the runway.
Yeah, there appears to be a security clearance on this information.
So there is, but still. So anyway, it appears, and I'm using all these words. I'm telling you, allegedly works even better.
Yeah.
So
perception.
So anyway, long story short, I was working the flight decks at the time, and it wasn't. How can I say this? It wasn't unusual to see something unusual land on a carrier deep at sea. And I'd only had I'm going to say it again. I've only had the pleasure of seeing it 2 or 3 times, something like that. But a pilot used to tell me about weird stuff that would come in, test stuff that would come in.
How things can they see anything at the speeds that they fly at? Seriously.
Well, no, they were landing on the carrier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but these were ours. I mean, this wasn't some alien conspiracy or something. But this thing was this was a. Okay. I would say this is almost a classic saucer, except for it had a cut in the whatever the back was, and other than that, it looked like a classic saucer. And then we got the all clear to clear the deck. When the captain comes on and says clear the deck, you clear the deck. So we rolled the 2 jets we had on deck still, rolled them onto the elevator, and I watched the thing. And it was heavy enough to move the ship down a little bit. The ship actually tilted a little bit when it landed. And I got to watch it coming down. Now, everything that happened after that, I only heard. I never seen any of it. So one of the guys is screaming. Something came out of it because you can see there's screens all in the hangar areas that see the decks, so we can keep an eye on what's going on the decks at all times. So, which was surprising that they hadn't cut them off because they could have cut the feeds off from the conning tower. For some reason, they didn't. These guys were saying they saw this thing come out and go to a hangar and then it went back, whatever it was. They said it was 7 or 8 foot tall, they thought. And then they seen what appeared to be Ronald Reagan and 2 escorts board the saucer. Okay, well, I didn't see it. I heard at least a dozen people on the hangar deck say it, and we did know he was on board because it was a tour. But as far as on board, then I didn't see it. I didn't see it leave, and when it did come back, it hovered above the ship.
Yeah, how did you know it came back if you didn't see it?
Well, because everybody heard it when it came back.
Sorry,
everybody was like, because I was actually going to go to sleep is what I was going to do.
You heard a silent craft?
Just not silent. This wasn't anyway.
Okay.
This thing sounded like, how can I explain the sound?
Yeah, you're going to have a tough time with someone who profiles criminals.
So if you take like a knife and stab it into a whale and slice him down and Billy screams, that's about what it sounded like. That's the best description I can give. Well, it's the best description I can give.
Nightmares.
It was like a nightmare scream. It's almost, if you've ever watched the television series Babylon 5, they had these things called the shadow ships, and they screamed when they flew.
And that is of otherworldly. It's not military.
That was
not. Whatever it wasn't ours. It was some kind of deal made. As far as I know, every time he tells me about Eisenhower, but as far as I know, only Republicans ever met with aliens. No one else ever has.
We made a good point here, though.
I love this, and I'm going to read this because this is fact. One of the presidents, and I won't say who, said this. So Wayne says, yes, but the president only has a job for a maximum of 4 years. So the powers that be in place are not simply going to give over crucial access to sensitive material to a temporary employee. And that is fact.
It is fact.
They're not even on a need-to-know basis with this. This has nothing to do with the government in play.
Senators
Eisenhower went to Area 51, but he had to threaten force in order to go.
Yeah, and he never got, but the deck tour is all he got. I know that first.
I doubt they took him very far.
No, he got the deck tour. They call it the deck tour, so you get the first 3 floors.
Yeah.
Everybody says there's different things. But from what I understand, there's 165 floors going down.
I was just going to say, I heard it goes
way down. It goes way down. Some people say it's 195. Some people say it's 155. So we're just going to go with the 165.
Imagine what technology built that. How long has that been there?
Well, most people don't realize that back in the old days, we used to dig holes all over the place. Yeah. So the government decided somewhere along the line, we're going to start using these for different things and different things and different things. And some of them started being used, like the salt domes. People don't realize how many salt domes there is in southern Louisiana and how big they actually are. I mean, you could fit several of my houses inside of there easily. Shit, you could probably fit about 100 of them inside one of them. And there are some that are used. You see when the towers came down, where did they fly? They flew them to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, why'd they go there? What's going on in Louisiana? I said, don't worry about it. You're going to be safe down here. You're going to have to worry about it anywhere else. But those are also, they're safe from nuclear bombs. And so it's a good place. It's a natural place. We've been digging them out for decades and decades and decades, and now we got them all over. And then it's just some other places where we've been strip mining that we've been filling back over, but we've been putting them in. And now, since, the 60s, we've had these big tunnel crunchers. They just, send them going, and then let them go.
It's also what the cartel uses.
So, I mean, these kind of things are stuff that's been going on for a long time. So the best one I ever seen, FEMA did a show. This was so hilariously funny. So the FEMA guys got this map stretched all behind, big U.S. map with all these little pin things all over the thing. So he starts talking, and he's a lot going on. Then he's talking about the closed underground facility near the Pentagon, near the White House, the one under the hotel. So he's talking about, and he's pointing at the little red dot. And you look at the map, there's about 30 of these little red dots. So these are all closed facilities. And he goes on talking about something else with these blue dots. All the blue dots were active underground facilities. There had to be more than 200 of them. Easy. I couldn't count them. And I wish I could have. I didn't think about it. I didn't have a recording because back there it was VHS. So I should have just plugged one in and recorded it. And we tried to get hold to it several times after. I had a bunch of other investigators tried to get hold to it. We contacted the studio. We just wanted a copy, just a copy. And they're like, oh, well, we still got it, but, it's not an archive or anything, a rerun. So it's not helping. Back then, it's not like today where everything goes onto the internet. It was great though, because it was more than just me that seen it. Quite a few people that worked with us and with MUFON and other groups had seen it. We're all like, really? There's way more underground facilities in this country than anybody realizes. I mean, anybody realizes, and not just here. Canada's freaking full of them too.
Well, that's why our land is so vast. We're so close to the
And
border.
we
Where do you
got
think
ones
they
that
are?
we got ones that connect to y'all. We got ones that go down to Mexico. They're going all over the place. They don't crisscross the country like everybody thinks, and that's mainly because there's fault lines in different places in the U.S. that make it dangerous. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say there is.
Yeah, they
I
do,
saw
darling.
I saw this child who was playing ball with his dad and his brother on their front lawn, and this is, I believe, it was Arizona, and him and his brother are fidgeting around in the front grass, and the mother's videotaping, right? And there you see them doing something with their feet, and then all of a sudden, one kid just goes.
Gone.
The other kid's
Oh,
like,
no.
"Dad!" The father comes running. He's like, he was just gone. They had to dig it up. It was a tunnel underneath
Not
the
surprised.
front of their house. They're saying it's cartel. It doesn't look like cartel
No.
at all. It doesn't. I saw the video footage of the inside of the tunnels, and that is just way too smooth.
Too sophisticated.
Unless the government's plowing those tunnels for them. They
Right.
said there's cartel and they use them to bring people across the border. I'm well aware that there's a lot of tunnels, but I've seen them in photos, and you could tell they're dug by hand. Like they're literally digging their way across, and they've been there for years and years and years. This was something different. It was just something different, and it was poor kid just falls through the earth, and it closed up. Like the dirt just fell on top, and
Did
they
they
said there's
find
lots
him?
of these everywhere.
Did they ever find him like
Yes.
alive? Yeah.
Oh, believe me, I went through the whole thing. That's how we have footage of the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah. I was freaking when I saw that. Like the first thing I thought, my heart fell, and I'm like, oh, this is Kiko. This is not messed with. This is a grainy video. This must have happened probably in the early 2000s. Sanjay says there is a tunnel under Oklahoma City. Okay. I was going to say, okay, Corral. I need coffee. Oklahoma City, and the government ignores questions about it. Well, yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. But man, oh man, as a mother, my heart just went straight into like the tips of my toes. I couldn't breathe. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my, and you just hear the mom panic.
Oh, for
the father's like moving all the dirt, and it just keeps falling because it's so dry. It's like sand.
Think about
right?
all them abandoned silos we got out there. I mean,
guess
right now we currently have 1,500 nukes on warheads sitting on the ground. That's it, compared to I think 7,500. We still have 5,000 more warheads besides that sitting on shelves somewhere. But at one time, we had close to 10,000 nukes armed and ready to go. Only because of the treaties that we got them down. But still, Russia's got 1,500. We got 1,500. Plus, we got about another 1,500 on submarines. So, yeah, we got about 3. That's about enough. That's plenty to kill anybody.
So,
no, about 500 something.
That's a lot of money and a lot of resources for underground facilities. So, aside from reverse engineer, what do you think they're doing down there?
Where'd they get the money for?
Do we have, different alien races? Like, are they there? Are they in connection?
Well, people tell me that all the time, like
governments and our military.
Like Dulcie, people always used to tell me about Dulcie. The problem for me is I got a lot of friends in the government, and most of what I find is to be BS because one, if the Greys wanted to kill you, it'd be easy. It wouldn't be no running underground fights. They would you'd be dead. Hell, they wouldn't have to use a weapon. They could just think about it and kill you. It's not. So a lot of stories, I'm like, wait, you Greys were shooting at you with pistols? Yeah, you're on crack.
Yeah,
I think those stories are ridiculous.
Working, technology, scientifically working hand in hand with different alien races.
Well, we know about.
Who've talked about stuff like that they've seen down there.
Yeah, but they would be dead. They you know what they do when I'm gonna tell you this is the truth. When they have something that you see that you cannot talk about,
right?
If you even start to talk about it, first thing that happens, your wife turns up dead. Next thing happens, your kid turns up dead. Next thing happens, your dog turns up dead. But they're not playing. Right? They want because they're coming for you no matter what. Certain secrets are only secrets that can never be released because they're secrets that can prove what's going on, so that they can't have them go out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's somebody that's not considered credible, then yes, they can talk about it all they want.
And Dolly says the sun's going to do it. Micronova.
So once you leave an organization and they can decredit, make you non-credible, yeah, they don't give you talk about it.
Actually, Chris, we're really easy to kill. Chris wrote, Joe, don't underestimate our place as humans in the universe. We're not easy to kill.
This is a good thing for y'all to see. So there's an old Outer Limits episode. The aliens come to Earth. Big group of aliens come to Earth, right? So, Russians are fighting Americans to still go, all the bullshit's going on our planet, all kind of crazy stuff's going on. So they arrive. So the UN gets together with all the countries and form a peace treaty and unite our world for the first time in its history of anything. You know what the aliens did? They killed everybody off because we were meant to be a warrior race, not a peace race. And they killed everybody. Our planet started over. So, yeah, don't underestimate us because we don't even know what our real destiny is yet. Was this a prison colony? Could have been. Was it something else? Was it an experimental thing? Why is our body set to Mars? Why is our biological clock set to a planet we don't live on? I mean, Earth is 23 and a quarter hour days, but our biological clock's 24 and a quarter.
Isn't that bizarre? That one's really bizarre.
Our body temperature is more designed to have been living on Mars at its height of its existence. So it makes us like, okay, maybe when Mars finally went down, they started colonizing Earth because it was the next planet on the system, because Venus was gone. I imagine at one time there was a planet between Mars and Jupiter, and there was Earth and Mars and Venus, and they were probably all inhabitable planets. They're probably beautiful planets. And then whatever the disaster was, whether it was a war or something, could have just been a rogue asteroid. Maybe it was Planet X came through and was sucked into the middle of it. And but regardless, we know a massive rock hit this planet. We know a massive rock hit Venus, and we know a massive rock hit Mars because of Olympus Mons and the other side of it. So we know these things, and we know they were relatively in the same time span. So something happened, and we don't know what was alive and not. As far as we know, the Greys and humans may be native to this planet, but their planets got wiped. We don't really know. Being that there's 3 planets here that are now destroyed, all 3 of the races we talk about could have been from this solar system. But, there's no way of proving it. And I don't really think they are, to be totally honest with you, because the Greys are ancient. They're ancient. So why do light beings like them so much? Because they're so malleable.
Right.
They are. They. It's not that they're not brilliant, because they are. They're a race that likes to serve, I think. At least, let me rephrase that. They like to serve the light beings. I don't think they like serving anybody else. They can be quite arrogant as a race goes. I'm not thinking they like to serve anybody else, but they definitely feel the need to serve the light beings.
I believe, I respect your opinion, Chris, but I believe that we're a very fragile and delicate race.
We are in some ways, but we're also can be a very brutal, murderous, crazy race.
Yes,
in some ways we are very, very delicate, but in some ways we're brilliant enough. We cracked the atom.
No, I understand that. I'm not saying that we're not intelligent. I'm saying that if something wanted to take us out, it wouldn't be that difficult.
As long as it's more advanced than us, yes. As long as it's like a gray. But we already know that that's not their goal. We know they've been here for a very long time.
They would have done it by now, right?
We know they're probably the reason we have RH negative on the planet. So we know they've been here 40,000 plus years for sure. More like probably 2 million, but we're going to say 40,000 plus for sure. We know they've been here. We know they've been interfering in our family lines for that long. So knowing that, tells us that they're not here to wipe us out. But to be honest with you, they're not really here to save everybody either. I hate, the feeling I get is, yes, the people they're going to save, and everybody else is just shit out of luck. And so for the rest of y'all, you need to get out here and start colonizing. Elon, get Mars built. Let's get some other colonies. Let's get over to Proxima Centauri, get some colonies going there. Because when the shit hits the fan, we can't save you.
Who blew up Elon's shuttle?
Elon, dumbass.
Whatever, I don't know.
Elon I wasn't on that free ride.
Elon's stocks were down a little bit, so he needed to collect some insurance. That's all that was. He needed to rebuild that launching pad. That's what was happening.
Yeah.
It's the Greys and them, they like to interfere in some ways, but they're stuck too. They can only interfere with us so much. I mean, if they could go faster or more, they would. So their best line is to keep interfering with family lines and changing the children and changing the children and changing the children and changing the children. They become more psychic, more malleable, more intelligent. They stand apart from the rest of the planet, and slowly but surely, they're becoming this other race.
Things are killing
Mm.
They're killing me. Yes. I'm sorry.
No, these
I know
the,
what you
the
meant, babe.
headset are
On that
killing
note,
me.
we're going to take a real quick minute and do a sponsor and station ID, please.
Yes. No problem. I need coffee. Speaking of station ID. Oh my goodness. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 and 107.7 FM radio. We are on Roku. So if you're watching us right now from Roku, hello and welcome, and please share us with your friends. Our guest tonight is the one and the only network owner, host of his own show, and everything. He is just amazing, and we love having him back. He also produces our show, and he also pushes our buttons. Our guest tonight is Joe Montaldo from UPRN. We love him. He's always a lot of fun, and we're glad that you've had a chance to come and join us. And if you're just tuning in, no worries. You can stream our archives on any platform that you normally use. Don't forget to share us with your friends. I can't say that enough. Tamara's not here to say it. Huge thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for sponsoring our show. Thank you, Folgers. We love you. Joe's drinking it down now. Shout out and thank you for our intro and outro to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Segue right into now. If you're listening to us on Facebook or YouTube, make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
Good point, Chris. Yes, nice lightsaber. Thank you. It's the only one I have left. All the rest of them got given away. Bites. I could have got one of the real good ones, but no, I had to be nice to people.
Wow.
Okay, I take back what I said about
I know.
the incomparable, the wonderful, the amazing Joe Montaldo. You got a lot of comments in chat regarding your accent. I think Michelle and I don't hear it anymore because I didn't
because
really
y'all
catch.
are used to it.
Yeah.
It's I was talking with two of the UK
Homemade
boys the other day,
biscuits.
and
Hi, Jeannie. Homemade biscuits
hello,
and Folgers
Jeannie.
coffee. Oh, yum.
Hi, Jeannie.
Do you make biscuits, Joe? We're not going to go down the food route because Joe and I will just take that right into the end of the show.
No, because Horsefly Chronicle made me hungry yesterday. A bunch of Staten Island crazies. Oh my God. So I pop in there talking ghosts and pizzas. I was like, by the time I was there half an hour, I was starving. I was like, and I hadn't wanted to eat because I had COVID. So I'm like, I don't even want to eat. I went and made pasta and meatballs after that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
No.
Pasta and meatballs.
I like biscuits and gravy, right? Man.
Joe, we're going to talk about pasta and meatballs after the show. But I want to ask you.
They were meatballs stuffed with cheese in the middle of them.
That's what I do, but we won't go there. Let's
get
off the food topic. We'll drive Michelle crazy.
Wait, for 44 years of what in Texas? Oh, okay, never mind. Because Texas is a strange country. Jeannie. Texas is its own country, people. In case if you have a lot of people, I've traveled to Texas many times. I have many friends in Texas. Texas is its own America, so you know that ahead of time when you go there. Texan people are nice, but don't screw with them. Yes, it's their own country. I'm telling you, it's almost as big as Alaska. It's its own country.
We're better off on spaghetti, but
yes, I'm just warning people. You go to Texas, you might see an alien. You might get kicked in the head by a horse.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Might see a windmill or two.
What do you see coming at us? What kind of stuff do you see being disclosed in the next in the next few years?
So I got a question for you. Why would anybody disclose anything?
Why not?
What is the use of disclosure?
Well, people always leak information.
People do.
Yes, that's what I meant.
But aliens don't.
They don't.
That's right. Because what is the use of disclosure for them? You got to remember.
Okay,
we want
why
disclosure
do they have contactees then?
We're humans because we need it. We needy people. But aliens are not needy like we are, and they don't feel a need to disclose. And remember, from their point of view, they've already disclosed to everybody they want to disclose to.
Yeah.
all contactees have been disclosed to. That's the only ones they're really worried about if they know or not. They could give a good freak about our government because our government doesn't do anything for them.
Do they ever, with the contactees that you've interviewed over the years, have they ever given them information and then asked them to share it? Wouldn't that be disclosing anything? I mean, people
I
are
think
telling
they
their
have to go with the
stories.
flow. The whole world was disclosing long before the United States. The
Yeah,
United
that's what
States
I
was the
meant.
last ones to disclose. I
And they
think you
are.
either have to beat them or join them. One of the, if you can't beat them, you have to join them.
But I got a question for
Yeah,
you.
I should
What
have
is the
rephrased that. I'm
best
sorry.
thing?
I meant from the contactees, is anything coming out? What would you like to see happen?
Well,
That's what I
contactees
meant.
talk all the
Sorry.
time because that's their job. Like people like Dolly and other contactees, that's their job. Their job is to disseminate everything that they've learned anytime that they can. It's
Okay.
built-in program. It's actually programmed into them. It's part of the downloads. It's part of all of it because that's what they do. There's keepers and communicators. There's several different layers of being contacted, but they're not put in a position where they can be taken and like so. Most of the ones that you can see out speaking will not be mill-labbed because the aliens aren't going to. They may one time, but usually the aliens will interfere and they're like, no, you're not going to mill-lab these people. A lot of people who get mill-labbed is by accident because they go public on a coast like show like Coast to Coast or even one of our shows, and they start talking about something that they have no idea what they're talking about, or they seen this, or they experienced that, or they touched this, and Uncle Bob's going, oh, we got a new one here. And they zap their asses. And unfortunately, because they're new at it, they have no idea what just happened to them.
But
So
they also take many of their own, do they not?
they try, but most of the time, if you're truly on the work list, as I like to call it, they're not going to bother you. They will punish someone for taking a contact. It's just like in the stupid movie Contact. When they followed the little girl home or they tortured, they killed those people, they will kill you if you
I don't
screw with the
remember that film.
contactee.
Yeah.
It was a series, a miniseries. Steven
Oh, the
Spielberg did.
miniseries, not the
Right.
film.
So in the miniseries, believe it or not, some of the things in there they got right, and a lot of stuff they got wrong, but a lot of stuff they got right. And the Greys, especially, so are the reptilians for that matter. They're very protective of their contactees. So when it comes to a point, so let's say, no, we're not going to use Dolly because it would make me nervous. Let's say they grab Chris. And because Chris probably not contactee. So let's say they grab Chris and they drag him in, and he just got through talking about all this information, and they want to know more about it, and they start trying to get him out of it with hypnosis or torture or whatever, and then the Gray shows up. First thing Gray is going to do is remove that individual from the experience, and then he's going to go to either wiping people out or teaching a lesson once and for all. They do not want their contactees screwed with.
Okay.
It happens. But most of the time, the government don't even get it right. A lot of times what happens is some goofball goes on a TV show or radio show, and he's saying he or she's a contactee, and they're not. And they start talking about all this plausible, wonderful stuff. And the government says, really? And then they get him, and the government's like, you lied. And then the government's not happy either. So you're kind of, so.
Do you think Spielberg is a contactee?
I think he had, if he wasn't, he had, just like Roddenberry, I think if they weren't, they knew somebody who was.
Okay.
There was too many things.
He just has too many things on point. With
when I was watching that movie, I would have swore he was listening to some of our lectures or watching some of our shows. I mean, there's just too many things he used that were right off of the list of stuff we would consider real. Now, there was a lot of stuff that was bullshit. I'm not going to lie, but there was a lot of stuff like walking on the ceilings. They do that all the time. People are like, what? Yeah, they crawl like roaches on ceilings and stuff. They defy gravity all the time. And that's one of the things he put in it. Yeah, that's true too. I wonder why that is.
Okay, next.
Song Day, Joe, what happened during the Philadelphia experiment?
We did a show about that, Joe. We talked.
That is a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Well, no, it's a tough one because
it's a good challenge.
Because there's two schools of thought on that. There's this thought that, yes, this is exactly what happened, is what you've seen in that damn movie, or something close to it, or something else happened.
I never saw the film. Can we just give a quick synopsis of what that's about for those of us like me?
The film was about the
Nikola
boat.
Tesla was connected in here too.
Yeah, Nikola, some of his research, they say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Eldridge, which was the ship, was I think a destroyer at the time, or a battleship. One of them, I think it was a destroyer. They were trying to make it invisible from radar, and what they did was they made it invisible from time. The damn thing time traveled forward in time like 20 or 30 years. What I don't understand about it is why somebody else didn't get off and warn the government of what was coming, because the U.S. could have won the war easily there. They would have had an outplay of what was coming, but that's not what actually happened. At least as far as we know, that's not what actually happened. So anyway, he ended up getting put back. He ended up working with a group and getting, because they were still doing an experiment in the future. He ended up being sent back in time anyway. I've talked to a lot of people who swear they have knowledge of this. One of them actually took a polygraph, actually took a voice stress. They say a lot of what they said actually happened the way it happened. The Eldridge its reactor started to override because it was using some type of nuclear reaction. Somebody said it was fission or fusion, and it started to overload, and it sent the ship forward in time. Instead of making it made it invisible. It just wasn't there anymore because it wasn't there anymore. It went into time, and then when it came back, when it rematerialized, if you happen to have been standing in the wrong place, you rematerialized inside the ship as part of the ship.
Yeah, we showed pictures of that. It was pretty wild. They were old black and white photos.
Wow.
People were in the ship. I just pulled up the notes. Can I just go over them? I don't have
Please.
all the pictures with me.
Please do. I
I'll
don't
try to
remember
find
that.
them because they were pretty wild. But basically, the event allegedly occurred in 1943. The main goal was to hide the USS Elbridge, a Navy destroyer class vessel, and make it invisible to enemy radars, hence a cloaking device. ? Nikola Tesla was said to be involved performing all calculations and also developing various designs. He was also said to have provided the necessary generators. So where does the time travel part come in? The experiment went terribly wrong. The ship totally disappeared, but it was teleported to Norfolk, Virginia. When it appeared, some of the crew members were physically attached or fused at a molecular level to the hull, and others developed mental disorders, driven insane, caught on fire. However, some disappeared completely. Others, however, reported having traveled into the future. Some crew members reported other strange events, such as walking through walls. It eventually reappeared in Philadelphia, but nowadays they're saying that they believe that it never happened at all.
And the problem with everything else,
Wow.
just like Roswell, is almost all the witnesses are dead now.
See?
Yeah.
And everything, it kills me. Even more and more documents from JFK's assassination have been out, and there's even more redacted.
Yeah.
So, what's the point of having a set date on information if you're never going to give it? That's just ridiculous.
Because anything that incriminates our government is never getting released. It's
Absolutely not.
You know, I mean, well, it might after 100 years, like stuff like the Love Canal, stuff like that. So stuff may get released.
I
but
don't know. Like,
1 second.
Kennedy, yeah, it's only been what, 70 years, 80 years. So maybe in another 20 or 30, they'll because it was probably had something to do with us. So they'll
Oh, here
probably
it
release
is.
it.
Okay,
you have
one
the
second.
pictures.
I'm going to put up pictures. 1 second.
Cool.
This is from segment 40 of the Gray Zone Uncensored. I'm just showing pictures that Joe and I did. So let me go in.
This is when
and
you
have a
want to
look.
be watching this show.
Okay, here we go, guys. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, so right here, okay, there's the ship. There's the US. This is apparently what it did, didn't it? Like it wonked out.
That's
And
crazy.
here's pictures of, okay, this is, no, that's wrong. This is it, where people are sort of fused in. So these are like old, allegedly, they're old photographs.
That is crazy. Now I'm dying to see the film.
Yeah, it's out there. It's got a good actor in it too.
I've seen the title, but I never paid attention. Now this is completely off from there. It's a question for both of you, and Michelle needs to be able to answer this.
Oh, no, he's a guest.
I know, but I
just thought I would share it because I remember we talked about it.
I want both of your opinions on
hey,
this.
that's not supposed to be there now.
I want both of your opinions on this. Okay.
Right? They don't sponsor us.
I'm sorry, Crown. You can't be facing out like that. I just got on somebody the other day about that shit.
So, Manchurian Candidate. Do you think that's like MK? Is that Was it just the government, or do you think that could have been alien influenced?
Go ahead, Joe.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of that stuff I don't give any credence to because there's no paper trail to it.
Well, there
It's a
wouldn't be on
oh
Manchurian
no, there's
candidates
always a
if there were.
there's always a paper trail to
But
everything.
how do we know there's absolutely none? Somebody wrote the story. Somebody told their story.
But that's the thing. They wrote and told the story. Is there anything that connects it to anybody?
You
So
have
usually,
60,000 abductees that have told you a story and you've written down, and we don't have any
but
proof.
that's different. That's 60,000. That is proof.
But
Proof
we
in
don't.
numbers alone.
I wonder how many Manchurian candidates didn't survive and how many of them went into asylums.
See, like John Greenwald, I know he's John Greenwald's insane about getting FOIAs, Freedom of Information Acts. I mean, he's probably got more than anybody in freaking history of the country. But sometimes things don't even hit. In other words, so if you go to apply for a FOIA and it doesn't even hit, you got to stop and wonder, because most everything gets cycled back through the library anyway. Even if it was above top secret 100 times over, a lot of times when it's being stored, that's where it goes. Because
maybe it's redacted.
It could be redacted, but it still would have to have a title to be redacted.
Maybe Manchurian candidate is a different name. Maybe it's under a different name. I have a hard time believing that's not real. Like, I'm not asking if it's real or not.
So you can control some minds, but it's not. It's not as easy as people think it is to control a person's mind. First, you got to break a person to do that. And that's an average everyday person is not as hard as people think it is, but still somebody that you want to really use that can be useful to you has to have the skills. So you can't just get a Manchurian candidate. It's got to be somebody who's trained in like PsyOps or something along these lines. It's got to be useful to you. Why would you take Joe Schmo off the street and turn him into Manchurian?
I don't think they were Joe Schmoes. I think that these people were chosen. Just like Russia is known for mind control and all kinds of stuff. But
the point being is, the more skillful,
these militarian assassins.
But the more skillful an individual is, the harder it is to break them. It's not as easy as people think.
You can build a skilled individual from little.
No, not if you're going to control them. So you have to give up one or the other. If you're going to take control of an individual's personality and soul, then you're going to have to give up a lot of things, because that person's not going to have that desire to want to do that, because you can't really put that into somebody. That has to be there already.
I respect your opinion.
That's not an opinion. That's from doing hypnosis. That's a fact.
No, I'm talking that you don't believe that it's real. I respect
that. Well, no,
that
it could be real, but what I'm saying is, in order for it to be real, so you'd have to take. So let's say you wanted just a stone cold killer that you could turn anywhere, put anywhere, do anything with. So you'd have to take like one of the best SEALs that ever existed.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to take him down and break him. Remember, these guys are trained not to be broke. So you're going to have to go through all of that training. You're going to get all of that out of the way and still keep that skill set intact. That good looking, rugged, got my personality. All that has to stay intact while you're putting a new personality in. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's not something you can do overnight. Maybe now that our skills are getting more into electronic world, where we can start downloading stuff. But when this was done, no, man, it took years, a decade or more, to do a person like that. To have now, it's not that you couldn't. You could spend 2 decades.
From
you could
child,
you could take them 2 decades and break them in, take them right out to service in their 20s or something, and put them in it and run them through it all. It's just, and even then, something could kick it out. Some smell, some sound, some noise, some friends, some family could break it. Mm-hmm. So it's a dangerous thing. I mean, but it can be done. It's not that it can't be done. I don't want anybody to think that you can't brainwash people. You can. Even I can do that. It's not that. It's just, but to keep the skill set is a whole different thing.
Well, schizophrenics keep that going all the time. This is a good point. Sanjay says, Joe, also some people can flee into their own mind and or separate themselves from the mind. That's very common.
That's true. So those people you're not going to really be able to break either. So you first off, you got to find the right individual that you can break, but still keep all the skills intact.
Isn't that what MK Ultra does though? Don't they break people?
They have to in order to get it. I mean, if it's going to work, that's what they got to do.
Isn't that somewhat like Manchurian then? No, it's okay. I feel bad for you. I like Dolly's comment, control over someone is more effective by control of the person's family and friends. That's also the way organized crime works. Just saying. That's very much how they work.
It's not, like I said, it's not
they
that
go
you can't
to the weakest link and to the ones you love.
So if I really wanted to, I could hypnotize somebody, give them a cocktail of sodium pentothal, sodium mannitol, and really pre-program them to do other things, make them say things, make them do things. But there's a point where the mind finds back on its own. So even with all of that, there would have to be a point where I'd have to use a physical type force in order to break that individual completely. So
Even when you start from little,
if you start
where
from
they're
a baby,
grooming
no,
them, that's what I mean. Like they're
yeah,
grooming children into
if
these. Yeah.
but still, then you have to keep all of that secret. You can't let
Yes.
anybody else know about it, because if it even slips out to even the wrong individual, that becomes it becomes not just dangerous for the person that's being tampered with, but for the other individuals, because
No,
somebody
like
might get the person that's being tampered with.
it's I'm not going to say where I saw this, but I mean it is known to have, there's facilities, they raise children this way, they bring them into special services and secret services that they have no life, no family, they're orphans, they're taken from little.
But all of that was supposed to, not just that, there was other programs besides that for stuff like this,
Yeah, I'm just
but
using the name
but
because people are familiar
it
with
was
it.
somewhere in the mid '90s, or maybe late '90s, the government outlawed all of that completely. That's why they got rid of red dames and all of them. They outlawed it. They said you can't use it, because it could always. You never know when that one person backfires and turns on you, and it's too late by the time you realize it.
Absolutely. That's
So
what double agents are made of.
so they decided somewhere along the line that they now there's other ways to do it. Now we have ultrasounds and different types of sounds and stuff. There's other ways to program people now. They're still not really sophisticated yet, and they're still learning it. But there are sights and sounds that can help to program or even deprogram somebody.
Do you believe aliens use that type of programming besides downloads, where
Ed Dames is way going. No, they don't need to. They use a telepathic scan. We
yeah.
use them too. So this is how our government, especially the middle labs, this is what they do. They use a cocktail, basically about the one I was just talking about, and they have telepaths that they keep on file. They use them to do what's called a passive scan. So they give the person the drugs and they talk this stuff to them for a while, and then the telepath pathically scans it into the brain. The same thing that's been being told to them for a few minutes. It usually sets and takes within about 10 or 15 minutes, and they're done. They don't remember anything. They only remember what's put there, and that's it. They don't remember. And you really can't break them, because the way it's overlapped over the thing, if you do break them, it's going to cause some kind of syndrome. So you got to be really good at it to break them, and you do run into them from time to time. No, poor Ed Dames. I interviewed him in '97. I asked him. I said, "What are you going to do now?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you got canned, brother. What you going to do?" You know how they canned him, right, guys and girls? He was a remote viewer. He's a damn good remote viewer from what they said, but
He created the programming too.
telepaths were much more efficient than remote viewers are. Remote viewers are great, but telepaths. See, a remote viewer can see like the missile silo or the missile, but they can't actually see the code or anything else, or how, so a telepath is seeing through someone else's eyes or in through their brain. So they can see the codes, they can see the roads, they can see the door codes, they can see everything. So why use a remote viewer when you can use a telepath?
Some remote viewers are telepathic.
A lot of them are. It's just they went the wrong way in the beginning. They were using target training, which is cool, by the way. I've taken it myself. Target training is a cool thing. You can lock in on a lot of different stuff. You can find things. You can even find individuals. So it's cool for that kind of stuff. But so you find the individual, but you got to be able to get to the individual. Well, the remote viewer is not going to be able to tell you the route to get there or the codes to get in and out the door, but the telepath can. But I still think there's room for both of them. I think it's easier for remote viewers to find a target than it is for a telepath. Once the target's found, telepath can go in like that. There's no looking for it then. But a telepath has to have a sense of what the target is, and remote viewers are trained to know what the targets are. They find blind targets all the time. That was part of their job. So there was room for both of them, but the Navy and Air Force announced in 2000 that they had dropped the program and started. They actually were actively looking for telepaths. They put a freaking commercial out for it.
Yep.
And we're not the only country that uses them. What everybody wants is a true telekinesis, but no one can seem to find one anywhere.
That is an extraordinary gift.
It is an extraordinary gift, and
Yeah.
one that can control over distances is even a bigger extraordinary. See,
I
for me,
wonder if there are any, if they're being hidden from the rest of the world, to be
well,
honest.
this is how I know that there's no real ones, good ones out there. First off, no one's claimed Randy's money, but more importantly than that,
I don't think Randy knows what Randy's talking about.
I don't think he is either. But still, no one's claimed his money. But more so than that, no one's killed Xi Jinping or Putin. Think about it right now. If the United States had someone who had a good skill telekinesis, they would just squeeze an artery in Putin's brain. He'd have an aneurysm. No one would question. He's already sick, and he'd
We
be
don't know
gone.
what's protecting him, though. Chris
I don't know
says,
if you can protect somebody from that.
but what does the oh my gosh, I need coffee. What does the telepath, not the telepath, the telepath, the remote viewer do when the target knows how to shield against this type of ESP?
Well, telekinesis, I don't know if you can shield against. Telepath, you can shield against. Telekinesis is a different, it's more like a burrowing thing. So I don't know actually if you can actually defend against it. And if you were strong enough to defend against it, you would leave such a big signal that anybody else could walk right in. So it would be a dangerous game any way it went. Because people ask me all the time, well, why don't telepaths do this or do that? Because telepaths unfortunately leave a signature behind. Most people don't realize that. But when you go into somebody's brain, you actually leave a signature behind. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's actually been studied by collegists.
Just scrub it off with light.
So it doesn't just go away. Yeah, that's why collegists never foo-fooed telepaths, because they realized early on that, oh my God, it's real.
It's like, boom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's one of them things.
There's ways, and not everybody can shield. Just saying.
But telekinesis, unfortunately, though, there just doesn't seem to be the guy or the girl who could reach across the planet and squeeze that artery shut and kill that individual. Because the other point is,
with that. They would.
The other point is, you wouldn't even know when to shield is what the really problem is. You couldn't have somebody shielding an individual 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It would be too much strain on the individual, and eventually they would break down. So, and if you had multiple people with telekinesis doing, you couldn't defend against that either. So the problem is, we just don't have that. I'm not saying it's not a skill we're not developing as a society. We probably are. We're just not to that point yet.
Anyone has that skill, they'd be hiding it really well.
Well, yeah,
especially if they live on this side of this hemisphere.
They're either well paid and well hidden, or they're just smart.
They're not telling anybody. They're keeping it to themselves. That's a scary thing to have. Dolly says everyone is capable of telepathic communications and do communicate that way unknowingly.
Right.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. You have that between mother and child. You have that between siblings, twins. It's fascinating.
Yeah. We are slowly winding down. So, Joe, why don't you just tell everybody we've got coming up?
Sorry, I touched something and the part started falling off on me.
He needs rest.
I know.
I need rest and drugs, but
thank you, Kenny.
That's
so sweet. I love when all three of you get together and discuss random topics. I find these sessions so interesting. Thank you for the show. Well, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
We'd have nothing without you.
That's right.
There you go. Dolly said B12, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, but then do that too. No, I was telling host today, I said, it's one of those things. I said, we're here. I said, if y'all aren't doing good, we're not doing good. I said, people forget. We want the host. Because somebody the other day tells me, well, you don't care what your host. I said, really? I said, why if we bother then? I said, the whole point is if the host ain't doing good, we're doing good. That's the whole point, damn it. Oh, I swear sometimes I need better drugs. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Di. Look, guys, I always love coming and hanging out with you, y'all hanging on. Telekinesis is something that's going to be a topic of conversation for long after I'm gone. Hopefully when I come back next time, I have some serious telekinesis, because when people piss me off, I can go, blink. Yeah. But
there'd be nobody left.
There'd be a lot fewer people. Let's put it like that.
Right.
There'd be a lot fewer people.
My circle would be this big.
I have a list. Yeah. Yes, I have a list.
But those kind of things are good. I mean, it's something there's other people forget too. That's not we talk about telepaths, empaths, telekinesis, but there are other psychic abilities, ladies and gentlemen, several other. And believe it or not, the humans, we always say we got 5 senses. Now we probably have more like 10 or 15 senses, but we just haven't developed them all yet.
And you can carry those senses into mediumship.
You can tell in mediumship. The only one I'm not sure about is when we talk about people who see the future. What do they call them?
Prophets?
No, there's another
What
name
they
for
do, they're looking at premonitions.
premonitions.
Yeah, but there's another name for because it's a psychic ability.
Prophecies.
I can't think of
prophetic, like
yeah,
prophecies.
I don't know. It'll come back to me. But when you
like
talk about people that
charades.
see in the future, how do you know?
Cognition.
You don't know if they're right or not,
Precognition.
unless it happens. And you're standing there, then you can go, oh, okay, well.
And when you speak about it, you kind of put a worm into people's minds and things could change. That's
and that's the other thing.
If
precognition, that's what I was looking for. If precogs, if somebody is a precog and they're going out there telling everybody about it, then odds are they're changing it anyway. It's like if y'all watch Star Trek, I noticed I was just agreeing with you. I wasn't even on you. I was agreeing. So I get in trouble for agreeing with this girl. But anyway, I was going to use an example. If anybody's watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds, that is what Captain Pike is going through right now. Because he has a precognition.
For people who haven't seen
he has a precognition of his own death. And,
on that note, we're coming up to the
spoiler alert.
I know.
So it's season old. I mean, it's 2 seasons old. Come on.
Come on now. All right, what do you have coming up?
Aside
from some good meds and
I got I don't know, about 2 dozen interviews coming up, just different radio stations and a couple of AM FM stations, a couple of podcast interviews, a couple of things like that. Really not much. I mean, I just got back from LA getting over COVID for the second time going to LA. LA people, y'all are getting you're getting on my list out there, Los Angeles people. Plus, y'all don't have any
it's an omen.
Food. I've never been to a city that has lousy
and you
food.
just get sick.
No, so whatever. But still, I've never been to a city that had lousy food before. They just got lousy food out there. I've stayed at some of the most high-end hotels in the place. The food is.
You're gonna piss off a lot of
the chef goes,
and he has to do it on this show.
Now listen, hang on now.
So but we got foodies watching this, and they're gonna stop watching us because
we eating steak at this very famous restaurant. I'm gonna mention its name. So the chef comes. The guy comes. How you like your steak? I said, it's okay. And the guy looks at me like, what do you mean it's okay? I said, it's okay. He said, dude, this is one of the best steaks you can get anywhere. I said, here, yeah. And he looked at it. I said, dude, I'm from New Orleans. This steak is okay. I'm just being honest with you. I said, I've eaten at the Quarter Two Sisters, Antoine's, Drago's. I said, I'm sorry, my friend. But so he said, okay. He said, okay. He took the steak back, left, took my steak away. I thought I pissed him off. I'm like, getting the steak.
Good Lord.
He comes back 10 minutes later with a perfectly medium rare steak, well seasoned. I was very happy. He said, Mr. Joe, I hope you enjoy it. He said, we don't make steaks like this here because these people here would leave. I started laughing. He said, they can't eat steak like this here. He said, this is not something Los Angeles people can eat.
Okay, those are his opinions.
Yes.
And I've eaten with enough of you LA people to know
let's make that clear. Oh my gosh.
On that note, I don't want a food talk. I want to close the show. I don't want a food talk. You guys have food talk after I close the show.
One little steak, I'm telling you.
God's sakes. Okay. So obviously we've come to the end of another, I think, fantastic segment. Chat room was great. We thank you guys all for participating. We thank you, Joe Montaldo, for your wise words of expertise in being a food connoisseur. That's great.
I'm bringing Wayne some alligator tail stuff with.
Oh, good Lord! Okay,
no. Let's just not do that shit.
Hard no.
So, big thank you to Folgers Coffee, who do sponsor our show tonight and every night. So thank you to them. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis. If you guys enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, share, comment, you name it, do it. We appreciate you so much. Tomorrow night, we're doing something a little bit different. And I don't know if you guys remember that we've done a couple of segments with an amazing guy named Charles Christian. Charles. He passed away in the fall, and I don't think a lot of people are really aware of it. And it's been coming to mind a lot. He's also past host here on United Public Radio Network.
Missing too.
A show called Reader Tales UK. So he did 2 segments with us and passed shortly before his third. So we are doing a memoriam in tribute to him for the first show. And it was fabulous. So check it out, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Until then, guys, have a good weekend, and we will see you next week.